This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and verse 68. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachah Kodash. Double honor to our venerable apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with a quick lesson, low and to be edifying and informative unto the elect. All right, and I'm going to title this Phema, When All Hell Breaks Loose. Okay, and of course, the verbiage is going to sound just like Phema, but the spelling might be a little different, just to throw off the algorithm a little bit. All right, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what Phema is all about, and in the time of a response to a disaster, which we believe is going to be happening very, very soon. All right, how they're going to also be, what kind of role they're going to be playing, I should say. Right, because a lot of people are under the impression that, when all hell breaks loose or in case of an emergency, just wait and listen to what your government is going to tell you. Your government officials always have your best interests at heart. Okay, but as we're going to read, you understand that at least from the truth perspective, all right, or from the perspective of truth, that these all these government agencies were set up as a means or a form of control over the masses, so people can't overthrow the so-called government, so to speak. All right. Because the government knows exactly what they're doing. It is all complete and dangerous deceptions. All right, people are finally waking up to it and putting the dots together. All right, by way of following the way of this truth. Okay, so it says the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA. The purpose of FEMA is to coordinate the response to a disaster which occurs in the United States and which overwhelms the resources of local and state authorities. Okay, so as you've seen over the past 6 months, the whole border situation nowadays has kind of died down a little bit. But prior to April, all you heard about on the news and everywhere else was this migrant crisis. All right, and that was setting the stage, right? So back in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, right? So right around September, October, right before so-called election or election year, you have all these so-called migrants in here. What role will they play when it comes to the elections, right? How are they going to fit in, and so on and so forth? These are all things that most people don't even think about, but these are all going to play a role very soon. All right, and it's going to affect the everyday so-called American. All right, because the stage is already being set for that. Okay. So it continues, says, FEMA was established under the 1978 Reorganization Plan Number 3 and activated April 1st, 1979 by President Jimmy Carter in his Executive Order 12127. In July, Carter signed Executive Order 12148, shifting disaster relief efforts to the new federal level agency. FEMA absorbed the Federal Insurance Administration, the National Fire Prevention and Control Administration, the National Weather Service Community Preparedness Program, the Federal Preparedness Agency of the General Services Administration, and the Federal Disaster Assistance Administration activities from HUD. FEMA was also given the responsibility for overseeing the nation's civil defense, a function which had previously been performed by the Department of Defense's Defense Civil Department Preparedness Agency. In 1933, President Bill Clinton elevated FEMA to a cabinet-level position and appointed James Lee Witt as FEMA director. FEMA received authority for counter-terrorism through the Noonlagar Dominici Amendment. Very interesting, right? I believe that's Dominici is a Latin word. All right, It says amendment under the Weapons of Mass Destruction Act of 1996, which was a response to the recognized vulnerabilities of the U.S. after the sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway in 1955. Okay, and when you actually go back and you look at all these different so-called attacks and disasters that's happened, for the most part, starting from the 1900s and sometimes prior to that, you'll notice that it's mostly ended up in some form of legislation that takes away a lot of people's rights and freedoms, all in the name of safety, protection, that kind of thing, right? Liberties and shit like that. Oh, we're gonna protect your liberties, we're gonna keep you safe, and all these different things. So here's this new act, or here's this new executive order, or here's this new bill, or there's this new law, all these different things. And then when you track it and you add it all together, you notice that, damn, like, what I'm saying, like a decade ago this wasn't even in existence, and now here we are, this thing is running our whole entire lives, right? All these different departments come in and they take over everything. Sometimes it's the same departments, just in a different name, right? They reshape, rename, and then here you go, people believe it, right? Anyway, so going back to reading, it says, following the 9/11 attacks, Congress passed the Homeland Security Act of 2002, which created the Department of Homeland Security, otherwise known as DHS, to better coordinate among the different federal agencies that deal with law enforcement, disaster preparedness and recovery, border protection, and civil defense. Okay, now remember, and we've done many videos on this topic here, but during the time of Obama, all these different agencies were stockpiling ammo. Okay, they were stockpiling what is known as bullets. The specific bullet that I believe they were stockpiling on was something known as a hollow point bullet. Okay, now the hollow point bullet is a type of bullet that when it's shot and it hits a person, it expands, right? So once it enters into your body, it expands and then it ruptures organs, tissues, whatever you have that it hits, it ruptures everything. So it's not like the conventional bullet that goes right through and ruptures anything. This one goes into the body and then it kind of like the mouth of it opens up, it explodes, it expands out, and then just destroys everything, And they were stockpiling those kind of bullets by the millions, if not the billions. Okay, billions of rounds of these things, man. And it makes one question: what are they going to be using these things for? The Department of Homeland Security and all that. Why are they stocking up on all these so-called weapons, man? And then they turn around and say that the American people shouldn't have guns because guns are dangerous. But yet your so-called government agencies are stocking up on all kinds of different ammo, and you wonder what they're going to use it for. All right, if you wonder what they're going to use it for, just understand that when the time comes, you, the American people, are known as the enemies of the state. Okay, I forget what book I read that says that, but it says it that when they say the enemy of the state or enemies of the state, it's talking about the so-called American citizens. Okay. So continuing, it says, where we are. So FEMA was absorbed into DHS in 2003. Now, FEMA is also broken down into 10 different regions, right? You have region 1 all the way through 10, and I believe region 1 is Boston, right? The Boston area, right? I guess the capital is in Boston, but it covers, I believe, I want to say Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, those kind of states up there, Boston, Massachusetts, and all them states up there. And then you have region 2, which is New York. You got region 3, Philadelphia, around there, Washington, D.C. Region 4 is Atlanta and all those states around that area. Region 5 is Chicago and all those states up there. Region 6, I believe, is around Texas, around there, right? Denton area. Region 7 is, Kansas City, So that's Missouri and all around those states around that area. Region 8, I believe, is Denver up north, right? From Denver, Colorado, all the way up north, Montana, all those states up there. Idaho and them, I believe. I don't think Idaho is part of it, but it's those states up there, right? Region 9 is, Southern California, so Oakland down south. All those states around there as well. I believe Nevada. And then you have Region 10, which is capped off in Seattle, or Seattle, Washington, and I think half of Cali as well is all part of that. So 10 different regions where the FEMA is going to be having their administrations or administrators. Okay. Now, one pivotal thing that's going to be happening, okay, very, very soon, that will basically, when you go into the FEMA executive orders, right, they allow the government to take over all airports, aircraft, including commercial, private, anything. All right. They take over the roads. They're going to be taking over pretty much everything that the Americans, or the so-called Americans or Babylonians, are going to be accustomed to using. You're not going to have control over that, right? They'll have control over your cell towers and cell phone usages and so on and so forth. All these different things are going to be controlled. Okay. In the time of martial law, once martial law is imposed, okay, and they bring about these, they implement the internment camps, otherwise known as concentration camps. Ultimately, the goal is to do away with all you jakes. Okay, and as I'm reading, we're gonna get into something known as Rex 84, which I've done a video on multiple times, right? But those things are all about to play out very, very soon because we're in those times. Okay, but let me get a quick precept here, right, which is a precept that we're very, very familiar with. All right, in the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter, it talks about a time, which is all lined up with Jacob's trouble. Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, the 7th verse, going into a time like never before. Okay, this is Revelation 12 and 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." Okay, so in the midst of, from now, between now and the return of our Lord, all right, Esau is going to start going buck wild. Okay, buck wild as in he's about to start tearing shit up. All right, because he doesn't have much time. And, the whole advancement of technology leading into MOTB is not just happening here in America, it's happening around the world. Okay, many different countries are being pushed in a forceful manner. All right, all their technology is being changed and upgraded for them to be able to have this new digital ID infrastructure and all these different things that plays a huge role and will play a huge role in the implementation of the MOTB. Okay, in terms of people's, the relationship between people and tech. Okay, human beings and technology to be able to merge together, all right, for it to actually work, you need to be identified digitally. We always keep saying that because this time is fast approaching. Okay, it's fast approaching. All right, and we're just one major disaster away where FEMA gets involved, and we're going to be right there. All right, so let's read. This is Rex 84. It says, Rex 84 is short for Readiness Exercise 1984, and it's a plan by the United States federal government to test their ability to detain large numbers of American citizens in case of civil unrest or national emergency. Okay. From 1982 to 1984, Colonel Oliver North assisted FEMA in drafting its civil defense preparations. Details of these plans emerged during the 1987 Iran-Contra scandal. They included executive orders providing for suspension of the Constitution, right? So that means that the whole, my First Amendment right, my Second Amendment right, all these different things are null and void. When they're suspended, you can't use them. They're not effective, right? So they included executive orders providing for suspension of the Constitution, right? Which should be unconstitutional, but in this case of emergency, which they can always create one, then it becomes null and void, right? So it says the imposition of martial law, right? Internment camps, otherwise known as FEMA camps or concentration camps, and the turning over of government to the president and FEMA. See? So in that case, FEMA becomes the president. FEMA gets to dictate what happens. Okay. It says a Miami Herald article on July 5th, 1987 reported that the former FEMA director Louis Giuffrida's deputy, John Brinkerhoff, handled the martial law portion of the planning. The plan was said to be similar to one Mr. Giuffrida had developed earlier to combat, quote, a national uprising by black militants, end quote. You see? A national uprising by black militants. Now there's a show, all right, on Netflix. I know brother's been talking about it. It's called Supercell. Okay, and that show is pretty much depicting Jake having spiritual power. Okay, and you know, if you listen to the names that they use, you know, one of the characters' names is Michael. All right, one of his friends' name is Gabriel. Right, that kind of thing. So they kind of play on with biblical names and so on and so forth. But when you watch it with a spiritual eye, that's Esau letting you know that they know that Jake has spiritual power, and the Lord is going to unlock that part of our brains very, very soon. Okay, we're gonna have superhuman strength, super speed. All right, all kinds of different abilities. All right, and all the characters that had those abilities were all Jake. You know, super strength, all that. You know what I mean? So this is what Esau has been preparing for. They're waiting for that. You know, going back to the whole Black Jesus story, all right, that the black so-called Black Jesus that came down years ago, and you know, they chopped him up, put him in different parts of the world, and he reassembled and came back and told him that, listen, your disdain for me on this earth is so strong that I'm gonna have no choice but to leave. You know, but very soon in the very near future, there's going to be a lot of men like myself who are going to have the same powers, if not more. All right. And they're going to come in and take over the whole entire world and change this wicked world into a righteous state. And those men, you can't stop them. All right. And Esau has been preparing for that. So they know. So you best believe that they've been watching, brothers. They listen to everything we say. They watch what we do. Right. Because they want to keep track of who and what, you know, so who's who and what we're going to be doing. You know what I'm saying? They got cameras everywhere, just like in the show. You know, that's what they use to track down any odd movements. You know what I mean? But yeah, so they already have things on the docket, all right, ready to go, talking about a national uprising by black militants. Okay, and they're talking about the ones that they can't control. We're not talking about people like the NFAC, no fucking around crew, whatever corny ass shit. We're not talking about that. All right, whatever happened to that clown? What's his name? DJ? No, not DJ. Something. I forgot his name, man. Damn. Oh shit. It'll come back. Anyway, it says it provide. Oh, Grandmaster J. That was this guy's name. Grandmaster J, bro. Whatever happened to him? You know what I'm saying? But we'll see. Anyway, it says it provided for the detention of at least 21 million American Negroes in assembly centers or relocation camps. There you go. Okay, so just like we read in 2nd Ezra that they shall take some of you, all right, feeding you idol with things offered unto idols. Okay, some of us going to be grabbed up. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of Jake going to be taken out of their houses and so on and so forth because they don't know who's who. All right, when the Lord starts turning things up, man, Esau is going to be tripped up. You know, and out of that desperation, he's going to start wilding the hell out, man. You know, because remember, they have a very unhealthy obsession with power and control. You see? So anything that they can't control, they become intrigued by it. And then they start to get a little careless. You know what I mean? They start getting very, very intrigued and they start getting careless. You know, and that's when we're going to get them. All right? Because there's nothing they can do about this. It's over with. All right. It says a number of websites and alternative publications that span the political spectrum have hypothesized upon the basic material about Rex 84, yet details have been shrouded in secrecy. Nonetheless, the basic facts about Rex 84 and other contingency planning readiness exercises and the potential threat they pose to civil liberties is fully implemented in a real operation are taken seriously by scholars and civil liberties activists. Right? It says, according to scholar Diana Reynolds, the Rex 84 Alpha X plan, otherwise known as Readiness Exercise 1984 Exercise Plan, otherwise known as a continuity of government plan, indicates that FEMA, in association with 34 other federal civil departments and agencies, conducted a civil readiness exercise during April 5th through 13th, 1984. It was conducted in coordination and simultaneously with a Joint Chiefs Exercise Night Train 84, a worldwide military command post exercise, otherwise known or including Continental U.S. Forces or CONOS, based on multi-emergency scenarios operating both abroad and at home. Damn. Kind of reminds me of Jade Helm 15, right? They were flying helicopters, going into civilian neighborhoods and all that, talking about they doing terrain training, right? Terrain training for overseas. If you're going to war overseas, why don't you go over there and train over there? See? Man. So very soon you're going to be getting that. Helicopters flying real low down over your house, in the middle of the night. You're going to be hearing boots on the ground. You're going to be hearing robot dogs back and forth. Crack, 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 crack. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be seeing them flashlights. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be hearing people screaming. Yeah, they're going to be coming very soon, man. You just watch. Okay? It's going to be happening at night. When people are chilling and sleeping, relaxing, they're going to be popping in and taking people out. So continue, it says, in the combined exercise, Rex 84 Bravo, FEMA and DOD led the other federal agencies and departments, including the Central Intelligence Agency, otherwise known as CIA, the Secret Service, the Treasury, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Veterans Administration through a gaming exercise to test military assistance in civil defense. Now, when they say civil defense, they're talking about defending against the civilians, not defending the civilians. All right, so always remember that. Okay, it says, the exercise anticipated civil disturbances, major demonstrations, and strikes that would affect continuity of government and/or resource mobilization. Now, why would they be preparing for something like that? Is it because they are anticipating, or they're very well aware that every action that they've been taking especially over the past 4 years, is going to lead to some form of civil unrest, some form of civil war, right? Something that's going to be a justification for them to bring in martial law? Could it be? Well, we'll find out. It says, to fight subversive activities, there was authorization for the military to implement government-ordered movements of civilian populations right? To fight subversive activities, which they deem this Hebrew Israelite movement as a subversive activity. Okay, that's what Esau thinks, at least, right? It says there was an authorization for the military to implement government-ordered movements of civilian populations at state and regional levels, the arrest of certain unidentified segments of the population, and the imposition of martial rule. Okay? It says, in 2008, for the first time, an active military unit has been given a dedicated assignment stateside for civil unrest containment. It is assigned to NORTHCOM, a joint command established in 2002 to provide command and control for federal homeland defense efforts and coordinate defense support for civil authorities. In 2009, a bill introduced by Republican Alcee L. Hastings of Florida in Congress sought to authorize the Department of Homeland Security to set up a network of FEMA camp facilities to be used to house U.S. citizens in the event of a national emergency. See? And hey, Lord willing, we're going to go into that as well. Not today, but another lesson going into the FEMA camp facilities. I believe I've done a video on it, but it was on a previous channel that they got that had taken down. Okay, they took that channel down. But anyway, let's go. It says the National Emergency Centers Act, or HR 645, mandates the establishment of national emergency centers. It's all in quotations now. Okay, that's the new term for it. National emergency centers. We call them FEMA camps. We call them concentration camps, though. Okay, but they call it national emergency centers, right? To be located on military installations for the purpose of providing temporary housing, medical, and humanitarian assistance to individuals and families dislocated due to an emergency or major disaster, according to the bill. So could we see some form of major disasters happening this year that could possibly get this into action? Right? They've been talking about Hurricane Beryl and all this different stuff. Hey, could we just see some very, very destructive so-called natural disasters that could really be, they could turn around and say, well, look what climate change is doing. Oh, look, the climate crisis. Look where we at. See, a major disaster. It could be anything. It could be anything. Okay? It could be a outbreak of some form of BF. You know what I'm saying? This coming fall. Who knows? But let's see. It says, yeah, I mean, listen, man. Personally, I believe they might just pull some shit with the weather because they did it before back in the Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, right? So we'll see. Anyway, let's read. It says, FEMA's response to disaster. Thousands of seemingly helpless Americans were left languishing for days amidst chaos and anarchy before the government was willing to step in and help them. While there were some accounts of heroic individuals taking charge of their destiny and doing something to help themselves, and others in a deplorable situation, many in New Orleans, right, sat helplessly by, waiting for the government to rescue them. And guess what? This time, when the shit goes down and you sitting around helplessly waiting for the government to help you again, your ass will end up in a FEMA camp, guaranteed. All right, that's the only help they're gonna give you. And then you're gonna be waiting to get your digital ID, which is gonna be by way of your hand or your forehead, but mostly your hand. And then you're going to be good to go. Okay? You're going to be kept there against your will. And then, you're going to be living in a very inhumane condition. Okay? They have a nice, huge one out there in Alaska. I believe is in Fairbanks, Alaska. Huge FEMA camp. I believe it could take over 1.2 million or even 2 million people. So that's a huge place. Okay, a nice little prison for you. Anyway, continue. It says, New Orleans quickly fell into anarchy as Mayor Ray Nagin whimpered and whined about the federal government not acting fast enough, even though he never exercised his responsibility of taking command and control of the situation. Corpses lay abandoned in the street medians, fights and fires broke out, and storm survivors battled for seats on the buses that would carry them away from the chaos. Over 200 of the mayor's police force abandoned their posts in the bedlam. And one tourist said when she asked a police officer for assistance, his response was, quote, "Go to hell, it's every man for himself," end quote. Woo! Yes. All right, so this is exactly what's about to play out very soon. Okay, on a whole nother level. And this is back in, what year was this? Let me see. The year that Katrina happened, was it 2005, I think? Right? When that happened, people were still in their right mind. Look at people now. If something like this happens, Katrina times 2 happens. This place is finished. These people are done. All right? And being that it's the end, I don't see why the Lord wouldn't turn up the heat even more. Okay? It says, in the chaos and trauma that accompanied the levee collapses in New Orleans, the federal government's response was to 1. FEMA discouraged qualified relief workers from coming to the area, going so far as to turn many back at gunpoint. So people who might have the heart to want to help you are going to be told not to do that. Just like how when the so-called demic hit, and some of us who are into the herbs and trying to give advice on natural remedies and so on and so forth, was deemed, all the videos we're doing was deemed medical misinformation. Even when you were saying things that was approved by the so-called CDC, right? If it didn't line up with their narratives, they called it medical misinformation and they took the videos down or gave you a strike. So this time is going to be both on a digital aspect of it and on a physical aspect of it. Okay, because a lot of people are going to be locked down or indoors or afraid to go out or whatever the case may be, right? They wouldn't want them to gain any confidence. So our kind of videos are going to be the ones that's going to be exposing all the lies and, going into the loopholes that they have and everything like that, to give people that confidence that, oh, this is all just BS. This is just a problem that was created by these same devils, and now they want to give us a solution. Oh, no, we don't want to take that. You see? So they don't want people like us, the men of the Lord, to be anywhere around when the time comes, man, because at that point we have so much power and influence that we can open people's minds, people's eyes to the truth. You see, and that's not what they want. Okay, that's not what they want. That's why they're going to bring in the famine of the word. The Lord is ultimately going to do it, but Esau is going to be the one to turn off that grid, man. You know what I'm saying? So that nobody can gain access to any explanation as to what the hell is going on. Okay, because we're the ones who only going to have the answers. All right, going to Amos 3 and 7. All right, surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. Okay, and the prophets go out there and they give out those secrets. They explain it. Okay, they make it plain upon tables. Okay, so continue, it says, they also turned away much needed supplies like water and fuel and sabotaged local communications lines. Okay, similar thing that's going on out there in a few months ago is Gaza, where they said they were sending aid and they had people in Israel was like blocking it off and all these different things. You're going to see that. Okay, you're going to see that, man. All right. It says thousands of flood victims were herded and held in concentration-like conditions within the city for many days after the flooding. The Bush administration and their friends in the news media did an extremely effective job of painting the victims of the flooding as dangerous and not worthy to be helped. Okay? Post-flood law enforcement did an extremely effective job of illegally seizing firearms from hundreds of law-abiding citizens while allowing criminals to run amok. Okay? And a similar thing, if not worse, will be happening very soon. Okay? As tar balls from the BP oil spill washed into Galveston, Texas, Congressman Ron Paul slammed federal interference in the relief effort that is hampering local attempts to mitigate the consequences of the disaster, mimicking how the feds deliberately botched the response to Hurricane Katrina and made the crisis worse. Quote, a lot of local officials, property owners, and state officials have wanted to do more over in Louisiana and Mississippi, and the federal government, the fish and wildlife people, the EPA and others, they come in and they prohibit them from doing it, said Paul. It has become clear that the government deliberately botched the response and prevented local authorities from doing their jobs, just as FEMA deliberately sabotaged the state response to Katrina in order to make the crisis worse and create the pretext for a police state response, gun confiscation, and ultimately more federal power. Okay? So that was just a tone setter. That was what you could call a test run, a real life test run. Okay? So in preparation for the next one, that'll be most likely, Lord willing, the final nail in the coffin. This place is going to be turned upside down. Okay? When you got fires everywhere, buildings on fire, cars on fire, right? People in a very deranged state of mind, no food whatsoever. Grocery stores are plumaged and plundered and pillaged and so on and so forth. You got dead bodies in the streets. Okay? You got gangs fighting against each other. You got dark-skinned Jake fighting against Northern Kingdom Jakes. All right, gang members, gang rivals, and it's about to get crazy out here. You see, they're gonna let the criminals run amok. Okay, this whole insane mental asylum is about to be turned upside down, man. All right, and it's all gonna be your so-called government's doing. Okay, and everyone who's not aware, your eyes are not open, even when we tell you. Well, you're gonna be caught in the middle. Okay, let's get this real quick. Let's see. All right, those days are coming, man. The days of chilling, happy, being all happy-go-lucky. Those days are about to be over. All right, it's fast approaching, man. All right, it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 31, and verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord, right? Because these things that are surrounding you is what gives you the sense of security where you don't even think that you need the Lord, right? I saw a video this morning, which was a response by the elder Manat Zagba from the elder Apostle Tahar, going into, I believe it was Charleston White and some other guy. And the other guy was, basically he had an interaction with the brothers from I believe Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. And basically he was just going crazy, disrespecting brothers, calling brothers basically poor, and he got money, and oh, y'all hating because I got money. What a stupid ass, right? It's just a dumb nigger shit to say. What do you think? Money? What does money do for you, right? Scriptures tell you that riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth. Okay, so to hell with your money, bro. You could be the richest nigga in the world. Guess what? You still a Jake. At the end of the day, when the troubles come, it's coming for your ass first, because you're a dumbass Jake too, not a smart one. When all this shit's going around you and you're not even planning, you just out here trying to flaunt whatever the hell you got. Like the Lord can't just take that away from you. Like, this nigga is a whole clown, bro. See? But he's one of them dudes that's going to be caught out there, and he's going to turn around, and the Lord's going to make sure that it happens right next to the brothers in Detroit, so they could look at him and be like, we told you ain't going to make it, right? You ain't going to make it. And now you at the last end of your shit. You're not going to make it. What if that guy gets stuck up at gunpoint by some goons out there? The Lord could do that. Shake him up real quick, take all his shit, put him in a situation where now he's like, oh shit, I mocked the prophets of the Lord, now look where I'm at. See? So hey man, the time is coming, man. The Lord's going to start pulling a lot of these niggas cards. All right, and they're not going to have no answers. Okay, they are not going to have answers, man. Okay, because they don't seek the Lord. Okay, they don't seek the Lord. All right, Charleston White, that two-eyed fish-looking ass dude, he's gonna get your brother. The Lord's gonna blow his head into smithereens. Okay, his little small little ass over there, the Lord's gonna cook him. All right, cook him. Because it's not the first time he's come against the men of the Lord. Okay, and the Lord's gonna show him something very soon. Okay, his cross-eyed looking ass. All right, but yeah, man, trouble is coming. Heavy trouble is coming. Okay, we're living in the days of the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay, when the sorrows hit, hey, it is what it is. All right, but just understand that the warning definitely went out. All right, ad nauseum. Okay, ad nauseum. All right, this is the book of let me see. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Oh shit. There you go. This is a book of Ezekiel, chapter 7 and verse 5. It says, thus saith the Lord power, an evil, an only evil, behold, is come. An end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. Okay, so that's the whole point of this video, was to understand, to show you that when this shit goes down in the state of a national emergency, right, or some form of emergency happens, Phema is going to be in the fray. Phema is going to be in the play. Phema is going to be out here to what? To so-called help. Okay? To help people. We're from the government and we're here to help. Okay? And that's when people are going to start seeing the true colors of Esau Edom. All right? Because they don't see red now. But soon they will. Very soon they will. Anyway, in closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash, the water Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatam, and Shalom.